Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. So the episode started where it left off last time, where Karen is in the middle of telling her friends that she is pregnant. Danny is in the middle of opening wine, and she is so thrown off by what was said that she is having an even harder time opening the wine than she anticipated. So everybody wanted to know if she okay. She said, yes, I'm okay. Danny was like, so are you keeping it? And so she told me, of course I'm keeping it. And I'm like, you can't say of course. Like, you can't just make it seem like, well, how dare you? Nobody knows. You could have went and said that you wanted to give it up in one of two ways. One of them is to have it no longer be in existence, and the other is to go to term or try to go to term if you are able to even carry and allow someone to adopt it. So that was a valid question. She wanted to know, also Danny wanted to know, well, who's the daddy? And they look like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Why? Why would you do this? Didn't I tell you that sometimes you need to just think before you speak and don't say everything that you're thinking? Danny had to read, and she was like, y'all love to say that, but I'm always saying what y'all thinking. So thank you. Let me get a thank you, because y'all acting like y'all lost your mind. So she talking about his Zax. Child, how you know? At this point, how do you know? Then they find out the heifer ain't been to the doctor. It's like, now ma'am. And at this point, of course, Danny wanted to know, like, for real, like, are you sure that you're pregnant? She was like, I've taken 3 pregnancy tests. So she was like, oh, okay, well, that ruled it out. I was holding out hope that, maybe you weren't pregnant. And everybody just like, it is what it is. Look, I'm tired of everybody. So after all of that has finally come out, Fatima is calling Andy because Andy summoned her to come over. So she's letting her know that she's there. And now that all of this has come up, Andy feels like she's blindsided. Y'all, I keep doing that. I don't know why I say that. Like, every time I say that, that's exactly what I say, like I'm dyslexic when I'm not. I don't know why. It's so weird. But anyway, she's always blindsided as of late. And so she was like, had I known that this is what you was going to do, I would have never invited her. So she's trying to get Fatima on the phone to get her to answer so she can be like, girl, never mind. Don't even come over here, whatever. And so Danny trying to be messy to my son. She's probably on the elevator coming up. You might just go ahead and let her stay, whatever. So she ends up getting up to get the elevator because she's trying to figure out where she at. So she was like, oh, she talking to her and all this other stuff. It's just to the point where I'm just like, girl, y'all, I cannot with Karen. Karen really is just sitting there like, girl, if you're going to be like this, like, and my thing is this, it's like, part of me want to be like, if you're going to be like this and be mad all day and you pregnant, girl, go somewhere and be by yourself. Just let Aaron be the dummy and just take care of you, and you be mad all day and he cater to that. Because don't nobody have time. But she was like this before she was pregnant. So it's like, please be different when the baby come out, because don't nobody have time. So anyway, Andy's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And trying to talk to her. She's trying to figure out what in the world is going on over here. And so she was like, Karen want to talk to you. And so Karen got up and greeted her at the door, and Fatima's like, okay, now, what's going on? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Child, it just got to the point where she was like, okay, no, what you want, though? Like, I was just like, wait, you could tell that Fatima was just like, I'm not here for it. Like, I mean, what am I here for? Like, can somebody tell me what's going on? Karen was about to tell her, and then Andy was like, yeah, let me apologize in advance. And so, of course, Karen is very perturbed by this. She is so disgusted, like, looking at her like, you supposed to be my friend. Why are you, like, anytime she does anything that seems to be in favor of Fatima is a whole problem. How dare you be a friend to her? How dare you have any relationship with anybody outside of me? I halfway don't even want you talking to these other heifers that was already here before Fatima showed up. So how dare you? Like, I'm just so tired. Anyway, they had their one-on-one. And she ended up telling her that she was pregnant. She was like, congratulations. And so she was like, okay. And so she was like, yeah, okay, I know. My man already told me. So she was like, oh, he did, huh? Oh, okay. She was like, yeah, he tells me everything. Child, this heifer gonna lie to my son. Oh, does he really? She was like, yeah, he tells me everything. She was like, oh, so did he tell you about how I call him every day? And I'm just like, girl, And so she was like, yeah, that's not what happens. And then a bomb was dropped when she learned that Zach gave her the PIN numbers and things. You know, she has the password. And so she was like, well, you know, he might have another phone. She was like, he does. And I have the password to that too. Ma'am, just give up. I don't understand why she felt like she could try to sabotage or set her up and have her looking like she got egg on her face when there have been so many other instances that have already proven that if she right here, right now, and she's still with him, he's changed. And she's trying to work with him. And girl, you just barking up the wrong tree. And it's sad because when Fatima got there, it's like everybody started realizing that, you know, there are gun toters in the group. They know that Fatima be having a gun, and I think Karen be carrying a gun too. And so it was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, this is not gonna work. And Danny at some point tried to take Fatima's purse. She was like, no, I'm good. No, that's all right. I'm gonna hold on to that. Fatima was looking good as usual. I like the outfit she had on. The boots was everything. But yeah, it is what it is. So she in her feelings. You can tell she in her feelings. And so she gonna tell her to be careful. She was like, and you're concerned why? I was like, no. No. And so, like, she gonna try to correct her, told some, I'm not concerned. I'm just trying to warn you. She was like, yeah, the concern. So, I mean, if this was the only reason why you called me over here, I already knew that. So, you know, trying to figure out what you want. Like, do you want anything else? Is there something else that you need to add? I'm not understanding. So then she was like, you know, basically, you know, if y'all are going to be together, then we can't have these issues. And so she was like, I mean, yeah, if we make it. Man, Danny then rolled up again into the conversation and was like, when y'all make it, because he really like you and y'all looking like y'all really gonna make it. So like, he is completely different. And so she was like, you ain't letting me finish. She was like, if we make it, then we'll see. 9 months is a long time. I was like, dang, Fatima went off. But I'm here for it. But yeah, I mean, like Danny said it off. She was like, we all know that he is crazy about you. Like, I'm like, y'all better know it. Like, Zachary said it was for her. So I was just like, oh, Karen, you seem so sad. Look, but anyway, it is what it is. And I'm glad that Fatima said what she said, which was, she was like, Karen, I've been that person where I built a man up and built with this man. And then all of a sudden it was over with and he went and he prospered over there with a whole nother heifer. It's like he took everything I put into him and the other person benefited from it. That was new to the situation. So she was like, I've been that woman, so I understand. And so she was like, I wish nothing but the best for you. And so, child, she was going to leave. And then she got up and went back over to Fatima and apologized. And admitted that she really was trying to set her up. Because she thought she was going to try to hurt her. I was like, that's big of you. And that is big of you, heifer. I am so proud. So anyway, it is what it is. So she ended up sitting down and they were going to talk or whatever. But it just got to a point where it was like, if she wants me to stay, I'll stay. And so everybody looked at her, and I'm just like, child, the fact that y'all had to get the okay from her as to whether or not she could stay in Andy's place, even though she doesn't need to keep that place, even though it's in her name, because Gary is always gonna say, I bought this. Like I can't. She a dummy. We all know this. But anyway, she eventually was like, yeah, she can stay. So everybody's talking, and everybody is basically going around the room talking about what's going on with them. Danny talking about how old boy turned out to be an undercover officer. Sabrina talking about how Calvin, a fight broke out. And so Danny then reenacted the situation that happened in the bank. I'm talking about all the way down to the passing out. I was done. I really screamed. I'm like, ma'am, don't do any of this. But yeah, it's a mess. But yeah, they was having their little moments, and then it was over with. So anyway, Fatima went back to the house and was talking to Zach about what all popped off. And so he was like, see, I knew it. I knew that that's what it was going to be and all of that. So she was just like, look, I held my own. I did what I did. I spoke my piece. So he was kind of worried that, you know, he might have to go get out of jail or something. But she was like, I handled my own. I'm good. It is what it is. So then he's telling her about Gary and then the guy who works with Gary. And so she was just like, I don't trust him. I don't know what it is. I don't trust him. And so he was like, Gary rolled up on me and was like, I can help you. People are speaking of your name. Your name is in circles. People are talking about you in reference to the stuff that he had going on with the money. And so instead of just telling him what it was, he over here trying to bribe him in a way and basically blackmail him and was like, well, if you tell me, well, I'll tell you if you can, you know, do something for me. Basically trying to help him to get Andy back. And so she was just like, see, I can't. And then she already know how Gary get down, so ain't nobody here for him anyway. But yeah, he was like, look, I'm going to see what they got going on. I'm smart. I'm not going to fall for it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Do what you do. So anyway, everybody has disbanded. And what's her name? Karen is on the phone with Andy talking. And so she is gathering that the help is not going to come over to her house and stay with her for the night so that everything gets squared away tomorrow by Gary. And so she was like, yeah, I figured as much. So, you know, if you need me, just call me. So while she's on the phone with her, she was like, oh, here we go. And so she was like, what? She was like, I'm getting another call. It's Aaron. So they got off the phone. She talking to Aaron and ended up telling him that she told her friends about everything that was going on and all of that. And so he over here talking about, you know, I'm thinking about everything. And so she was like, look, I haven't gone to the doctor yet. And so he was like, well, you need to see if the dates line up because it could be my child. And like, she gets so frustrated whenever this man thinks that it might be his child. I'm just like, ma'am, it really is a possibility that it's his child. So how are you mad that he telling you, if it's my child, I want to be involved with my child? You're mad because there's a possibility that it's not your ex's child. And all of the stuff you went through with him, why would you then want it to be his child? I don't understand. You have somebody who lived for you who shouldn't, who in my opinion, that I'm going to forever say, he should not have ever known of her existence because he was still a married man who should have been rolling up no matter what he had going on with his crazy wife. Get the divorce decree in your hand, then roll up. Sorry, people like that get on my nerves. So anyway, so after everybody left the house, Andy, she walking around and then she went back into the bedroom and she sees that there's a tablet on the bed and it says play me. She done played the thing and it's Gary tells her, oh, if you're seeing this, then that means that you're there. Oh, and his voice, just to hear his voice gets on my nerve. He ain't even there. He has recorded himself and had a video playing for her to just see him. So he was like, well, since I'm not there, I wanted to be able to guide you through the house, the penthouse and all of this. So he was just like, oh, in the next room is this, that, and the other. Oh, go to the refrigerator. I know it'll take you a minute, so I'll wait. She done walked over to the freezer. He done put her favorite ice cream in there. She is just so taken aback. And she's just so here for it. And I'm just like, girl, bye. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. Ooh, child. He should have just squeezed all of the life out of you. He almost succeeded. He almost succeeded. You were almost dead. Because as we can see, a lesson was not learned. I keep trying to tell y'all, there are people who have to die to learn, and that is very tragic. She might be one of those cases. And I'm not going to be surprised if this were to end at some point in time when this show ends, and then she has to die because she decided to deal with him after all. Oh well. So anyway, she all enamored by everything. Oh, it's like she is just living for all of this. And I'm just like, girl, even earlier when all the girls were there, she was one of the people who was spilling her own tea about how she had the place, and that he sat up there and got the car for her, and that people were basically tracking their every move and all of that. And Danny was like, girl, what do you have down there? You must have magic down there, because what is going on? Yeah, he doing the most. He crazy and he's possessive. That's what it is. Because apparently it ain't that great, because just the thought of her having sex with somebody else when they weren't even together makes him be completely turned off. But I digress. So anyway, so the next day happens and we see Zach at his house. He done pulled up at his house. He barely in the house. He done barely put the key in the door. And here come, what's his name? Gary calling him. So he like, who is this? And he was like, oh, this is Gary. He was like, yeah, man, what's up? So he was like, yeah, so I just want to apologize for saying what I said to you and all this other stuff. And so he was like, okay, I hear you. That's what's up. So he was like, well, I'm going to tell you who the people were who, were talking about you in these circles. And so he was like, okay. So he was waiting. And so he was like, well, I don't think that's a good idea for us to talk about that on the phone. So he was like, yeah, that is a good idea. So then he was like, I'm going to send my partner over there. The dude who helped him do other stuff in the house, he going to send him over there. Child, why doesn't it surprise me that here come Hayden hobbling into the room on crutches, still toe down to the ground. Over here, somebody said, what'd you find out? Of course. And so he was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I didn't find out anything. And so he tried to figure out how is he be able to do all this stuff. He was like, look, I don't know what to tell you. And of course, there's a transaction that's happening. Hayden, is keeping an eye on Andy while they're at work. And I'm like, boy, if you don't get somewhere and sit down. So apparently, Gary has a whole lot of dirt on Hayden and all this other stuff. And so his partner came in and he was like, I don't see why you still deal with him. He was like, look, as much dirt as I have on him, it is what it is. And so, like, he even knows why he has him around as far as Andy is concerned. And he was like, no, I just have him, just making sure she's okay and all this other stuff. I'm like, sir, you have him spying on her. Like, don't try to dress it up. It is what it is. So then we see Sabrina's job. We end up seeing Maurice. He didn't got to work before Sabrina. And so all of a sudden, before he can get into the building good, he hears this noise. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Q in the bushes. And so he was like, it's me. He over here trying to tell her to back up. He was like, I need to be at your place. I need to go to your place. They're going to be checking in on me in 30 minutes to an hour or whatever. They're expecting me to be at your place. And he was like, what are you doing out? He was like, I told you I was going to get out. I signed something and they let me out. So he was like, they let you out with my address? He was like, yes, I told them. And I'm just saying the whole time, Maurice told you not to do this. Hopefully he's not going to be stupid enough to be like, well, he had nowhere else to go. Like, please don't do this. Anyway, after all was said and done, he told him, you do know that you are at the scene of the crime. So why are you even here? Like, that don't make no sense. They can track you, right? Like, he's dumb. Like, he is so stupid. He was like, yeah, you're right. So let me please. Like, he starts begging him. And then we see Sabrina pull up. And I'm like, child, like where she's parking, she doesn't even see the exchange happening at first. So he's really pleading with him to let him stay at his place. And then all of a sudden, Sabrina can see him. It was like, what are you doing here? I'm calling the police. And he was like, yeah, she's serious. And so he was like, all right, I'll leave. And so he ended up going in the building behind her. Child, I'm just like, this is just stupid. This is stupid. Like, go your behind somewhere and sit down. So anyway, back at Zach's house, old boy done popped up. And so he starts asking him all these questions. And he already has Fatima in the back of his mind because Fatima be spot on when it comes to stuff. And he has his own suspicions as well. And so he was like, why are you asking me all these questions? He was like, because you're a good brother and, you know, I want to make sure you're all right. And so he was like, well, how were you able to come up on all of this? Like, how were you able to hit this? And he was just like, I just put my money on something and it hit. It is what it is. And so he was like, are you sure? And so he was like, yeah. So he was like, so since Zach was talking about how, you know, he'd followed the corporation for however long or whatever, the business. And so he was like, okay, so back in like however long ago, what happened with this? He over here like asking for specifics. And so he looking at him like, I don't know, that was a good long time ago. I don't know that. He was like, okay, well, what about like 6 months ago? He was like, yeah, 6 months ago. I can remember that. And so he started fumbling and bumbling. And so he was like, see, man, you're going to have to get up on that. And so he was like, I can help you. And so he is still leery about that, which he should be, as to why he want to help him. It's like, why? Why you want to help? It's not making sense for you to be like, ooh, I want to help you. And he keeps trying to convince him that he does not have anything to do with anything illegal popping off. So he might as well stop asking him that. Hopefully he won't ever feel like, oh, he's being such a good friend to me. Let me tell him what's going on. I really hope he don't sit up there and do that. But it is what it is. Child, the end of the episode is here while he's there at the house. And that heifer who had been rolling up at Karen's asking about Zach, she done rolled up with officers. It's 4 people there. 4 people are there, having him put under arrest. And I'm just like, child, this is too much. But anyway, I guess we have to figure out what happens next time it come on. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. That was the recap review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Give this video a thumbs up. And let's talk about it in the comment section.